And finally, the last step of getting ready is being prepared to fail. I don't want to like be too much of a downer here, but I think that again, if you've been influenced by some of these kind of magical thinking, growth blog posts or hacks or whatever, that you think that once you sparkle the growth dust, that everything is going to be okay. Um, but really, most growth experiments fail, just like most startups end up failing in one way or another. As James Clear put it, your failures are simply data points that can help lead you to the right answer. Failure is the cost you pay to be right. So when you run a growth experiment and it fails, that's okay. You learn something, right? And so for me, it took a little while to kind of internalize that that failure is actually positive, that it's actually progress rather than going backwards. And I think for a lot of folks, it is difficult, even though there are so many cliches around. You can't, you haven't failed if you haven't tried, all that stuff. It's actually really hard on a day-to-day basis to know that a good chunk of the work that you do and a good chunk of the code that you write, good chunk of the marketing that you do is not going to work. But that's the reality of doing this kind of growth work. So the three things that I look for when I'm hiring people for this sort of role, the three things I try to tell my own teammates and myself when doing this kind of work is that you have to be creative because again, there's no magic dust to sprinkle. So you have to come up with new and innovative ways of growing your product. You have to be relentless because it's not going to happen. Growth is not going to magically happen the first time you turn on something like an email loop. And you also have to be resilient, again, because most of these things fail. And those are the three kind of characteristics that I look for, again, in hiring someone for this role or just preparing yourself for this role to know that these are the things that are going to be tested when you're doing growth for your startup.